Good evening, Bahamas. You're tuned in to NB12 broadcasting from Cable 12 Studios on Robinson Road. Coming up tonight in news, that controversial NIB report revealed. Government reviewing a Bahamian group's casino license. The DNA gives the PLP government a D grade, plus a police officer discharged this afternoon. I'm Vonique Tude, and NB12 starts now. Topping news tonight, we now know more about those shocking things Minister of Labor and National Insurance Shane Gibson said he discovered in the report of the forensic audit of the National Insurance Board. The 300-page report, which includes revelations concerning salaries, bonuses, and various contracts awarded during the tenure of suspended Director Algernon Cargill, was obtained exclusively by the Nassau Guardian. Celeste Nixon has the details in this report.
Probe into certain affairs at NIB has revealed that bonuses and salary increases paid to Cargill and other executives may have been made without proper authorization. Grant Thornton, the firm hired to conduct the review, found there was no evidence to show that ministerial approval was secured for bonuses received by Cargill. According to a legal opinion provided by Thomas Evans, QC, which was sought by accountants, it was determined that the NIB Act requires overbased increases in salary and bonuses for the director, and other members of the executive management team require approval from the minister. 8 NIB executives and 1 person on contract together received bonuses of over $723,000 between January 2010 and May 2012. With Cargill taking home close to $198,000 in bonuses during that period, according to information on NIB's files. Regarding allegations of a conflict of interest surrounding the rental of a Sandyport apartment, the nearly 300-page document indicated the apartment, being rented to NIB by Jess L. Carr Company Limited, is owned by Cargill's brother, Godwin Cargill. Algernon Cargill is also listed as an officer of that company. Last November, the use of Cargill's corporate credit card came into question by former NIB chairman Gregory Moss. In the report, Grant Thornton said based on their review of all credit card purchases, all purchases were non-compliance with the policy on delegated authority to spend budget allocations. Total credit card charges from January 1, 2009 through October 31, 2012 totaled some $273,541, of which $272,493 were reported as business expenses. Grant Thornton said the charges were not solely incurred by Cargill, but also by other NIB employees. The report also highlighted irregularities in the awarding of certain NIB contracts for various projects. Based on information provided to Grant Thornton by NIB, the owner of a company about to win a substantial contract for $8,653,660 is possibly a relative of Cargill. Grant Thornton noted it was interesting that while they were made aware of the relationship of the director and the complaint by a member of the tender committee, members of the NIB board went ahead without discussion and approved the contract. Minister of Labor and National Insurance Shane Gibson said he expects to table the report in the House of Assembly once Cargill has had an opportunity to review the report's findings. Reporting for NB12, I'm Celeste Nixon.
Be sure to pick up a copy of tomorrow's Nassau Guardian for another angle on the NIB report. Bahamians may be closer than ever to owning a casino, a first in Bahamian history. Yesterday, Prime Minister Perry Christie revealed that there are not 1 but 2 Bahamian groups vying for a casino license on New Providence. Christina McNeil reports.
Bahamians may not be able to roll the dice in a game of chance, but according to Prime Minister Perry Christie, there's nothing in the laws preventing them from owning a casino. This as the country considers whether or not discrimination actually exists in the country's current gaming laws, which prevent Bahamians from gambling while allowing foreigners to.
I know who all of the groups are who apply for casino licenses, but the fact of the matter is Bahamians must anticipate that Bahamians will own casinos. Nothing in the law prevents them from owning casinos. And if they have the means to qualify, and now there's some serious qualifications.
Last week, chartered accountant Philip Galanis told our news team a group of Bahamian businessmen is in the process of applying for a business license. However, Christie yesterday revealed that another Bahamian group is also seeking to secure a license. However, there's only one other casino license available on the island of New Providence at South Ocean.
As you know, for New Providence, there's only one other casino license available, and that's South Ocean, and that in itself is a major acquisition. I have told the people of South Ocean the government will only hold that license in place, but for so long, because we have another application involving another Bahamian group that Mr. Galanis is not aware of, that is talking about getting that license and using it elsewhere in New Providence.
If Bahamians meet the qualifications to gain a casino license, Christie says it may come in the form of a joint venture either on New Providence or the Family Islands.
Bahamians, if they qualify from the point of view of what is required for a casino license in New Providence and or the Family Islands, they will be able to be the beneficiary either in joint venture, as the groups who have applied. They have predicated the application on a joint venture application, and so they will be able to do that. There are other matters with respect to the casino that I will be speaking on shortly.
Neither Christie nor Galanis have revealed the identities of the businessmen seeking casino licenses. However, the Prime Minister confirmed that two prominent leaders in the web shop industry are not a part of either group. Tourism Minister Obi Wilshcombe, who has responsibility for gaming, recently told our news team that government supports the idea of Bahamians with the capital and proper management team entering the casino market. He added that government would like to see the gaming sector grow beyond hotel casinos to standalone casinos and perhaps a slot machine parlor. Atlantis, Baha Mar, and the Grand Lucayan on Grand Bahama currently holds casino licenses, while another casino is set for Bimini later this year. Yet it remains to be seen who will actually be able to gamble in these casinos. A leaked draft gaming bill indicates that work permit holders and permanent residents will be granted the right to gamble, while the prohibition against Bahamians gambling will be upheld. Reporting for NB12, I'm Christina McNeil.
From the courts, testimony continued in the Kofi Goodman murder trial today, with CSI Officer Constable Bruce Thompson admitting that police misplaced two items collected from the scene that he admitted could have yielded important evidence. Also taking the stand was Marco Archer's sister, Lakeisha Archer. Our Jasmine Bonnaby was in court and filed this report.
Officer Chisholm was back on the witness stand this morning, fielding more questions from defense attorney Jeffrey Farquharson on his role in the investigation.
In previous testimony, Chisholm said he watched as Dr. Karen Sands performed an autopsy on the body of an unidentified male on September 29th. He had also testified that Sands gave him a sexual offense kit that contained anal and oral swabs. But on the stand today, Farquharson questioned Chisholm about two other pieces of evidence he collected from the morgue and carried to his Thompson Boulevard office. Chisholm testified that he was also in possession of a plastic bag that was found tied around the corpse's face and a sheet that the body was found in. The CSI officer testified that he hung the items out to dry on a fence in the back of the office because they were soaked in gasoline by morgue staff to kill maggots. He said he did not want to place the items in a forensic dryer because of the risk it would pose to lab technicians and equipment. Chisholm said 2 to 3 hours later he discovered the items were gone. Farquharson asked how the items were lost, and Chisholm testified that police launched an investigation and later learned that a workman had discarded the items. He also testified that during the investigation the entire place was searched, including garbage bins, but those items were never found. Chisholm also admitted under cross-examination that there appeared to be bodily fluids on the sheet and said there could have been important trace evidence on that piece of evidence. Lakeisha Archer was the second witness to take the stand today. She testified that the last time she saw Archer at her home was on September 23, 2011. Archer said her brother had stopped by her Claridge Road home after 4 p.m. that day and used the bathroom before she asked her son to walk him to the bus. By 9 that night, she says her mother and sister showed up at her home, asking if she had seen Marco.
Archer testified that she and other family members had gotten into a relative's car and searched for her brother that night. Her testimony is expected to continue tomorrow. Garvin Gaskin, the Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions, is the lead prosecutor. Neil Brathwaite and Darrell Taylor also represent the Attorney General's office. Goodman remains on remand at Her Majesty's prisons. Reporting for NB12, I'm Jasmine Bonamy.
On the eve of the one-year anniversary of the Progressive Liberal Party's general election victory, the Democratic National Alliance has delivered a scathing assessment of the Christie administration's performance thus far. Party leader Granville McCartney gave the party a D for disastrous, asserting that its sole achievement between May 7, 2012 and now was winning the election. Since then, he believes some voters are experiencing buyer's remorse.
The first year of the PLP's administration can be summed up in one word: disastrous.
McCartney says the past 12 months have been marked by a failed gambling referendum and mortgage relief plan, failure to create 10,000 jobs or implement national health insurance, and an unsuccessful attempt to regain a controlling interest in BTC. On the issue of crime, he says, the PLP professed to have all the solutions and even erected controversial billboards throughout New Providence blasting the Ingram administration. However, he says Bahamians don't feel any safer.
These are the people who said, we will tackle crime. Look in their Charter of Governance. These are the people who went around this country and placed billboards all about the place. As a matter of fact, to the extent of embarrassing the Bahamas, placed billboards about the number of murders and so on and so forth. We got the Minister of National Security coming on and saying crime is down. Yes, yet he carrying a gun. Until I feel safe, until the Bahamian people feel safe, these statistics don't mean a hill of beans.
As for jobs in the economy, DNA Deputy Leader Chris Mortimer asserted that very little has changed over the past year. Meantime, McCartney blasted Prime Minister Christie over his recent comment that the previous Christie administration created over 20,000 jobs, and this one will create just as many over the next 4 years.
And the government hasn't done what we thought they ought to have done to spur growth in our economy. If you take a look around, the banking sector, the tourism sector, the construction sector, they are all showing significant shrinkage.
They didn't create 20,000 jobs. That's foolishness. And lost the election? They lost the election. You create 20,000 jobs and you lose the election? Boy, there's something wrong. They didn't create 20,000 jobs. Labor statistics does not verify that.
The Democratic National Alliance also criticized government for failing to create 10,000 jobs in its first year as promised or to assist struggling homeowners through its mortgage relief plan. He says the Christie administration didn't fare any better in its efforts to take back a majority share in BTC.
The committee reported that there were shocking elements of that deal. Unfortunately, and true to form, the Bahamian people have not been advised of what these shocking elements were. To date, BTC still owns the majority of shares, and it is very, very unlikely that this government will be able to yet again fulfill a campaign promise.
We asked the DNA leader what advice he has for the government going forward.
Resign. They should have resigned after the referendum. This is disgraceful.
Dr. Bernard Nottage responded to criticism over his performance as Minister of National Security over the past year. Many people have questioned whether crime is really down because they don't feel safe. While bringing remarks during the opening ceremony of Interpol's Capacity Building Training Conference this afternoon, Nottage joked that he's learned to take the harsh criticism in stride.
Tomorrow marks a year that I've been Minister of National Security, and I was reading the newspapers about it, and the man gave me an F. A, B, C, D, E, F. I was trying to find a good word that starts with F. I can think of some others. But I say, he says, fantastic. But I take it all in stride.
And with a grade as low as F, Nottage says there's only room for improvement.